She smiled at him every morning, kissed his cheek, and stirred his tea with love. But the maid saw the powder. She saw the lies. She saw the grave being dug one spoonful at a time. And when the wife whispered, "You're the only one I've ever wanted," the maid knew. Someone was going to die. But who? Welcome to African Tales of Wisdom. Smash that like button if you're ready for heart-pounding suspense, subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss the next chapter, because the poison is still brewing. Drop continue in the comments if you want the story now. Dim the lights. Lock the door. Here comes the tale that will haunt your dreams. In the heart of the rolling green hills of Amura, stood the golden house of Chief Ease. It was not made of gold, no, but painted bright yellow with a red roof that gleamed like fire under the noon sun. The villagers called it Yulo Ola, the house of gold, because everything inside it shone: the polished wooden floors, the crystal glasses, the laughter of the chief's young wife, Adanna. Adanna was 25, with skin like rich cocoa butter and eyes that held secrets deeper than the Niger River. She moved like a dancer, her wrapper tied low on her hips, her smile slow and sweet. When she walked through the market, men forgot their wives. When she laughed, children followed her like ducklings. And when she touched Chief Ease's arm, the old man, 55, thick around the middle, gray at the temples, believed he was the luckiest man alive. But in the shadows of the kitchen, behind the smoke of the firewood and the scent of pepper soup, stood Chioma, the maid. Chioma was 19, small-boned, quiet. Her mother had died giving her life. Her father had sold her to the chief's household for a bag of yams and a promise of school fees that never came. She wore a faded blue uniform, her hair wrapped in a black scarf, her eyes always down. But Chioma saw everything. She saw how Adanna's fingers lingered on the chief's neck when she served him dinner. She saw how Adanna's smile never reached her eyes when the chief bragged about his wealth. And she saw, on the night of the new moon, when the house was dark and the crickets screamed, Adanna slip out of the bedroom, barefoot, carrying something small in her fist. Chioma followed. The kitchen was cold. The fire had died to embers. Adanna knelt by the clay pot where the chief's morning tea steeped overnight, his special blend of mint, lemongrass, and honey. Chioma watched from the doorway as Adanna opened her fist. A white powder. Fine as flour. Odorless. Adanna whispered something, too soft for Chioma to hear, and tipped the powder into the pot. Just a pinch. Then another. She stirred with a wooden spoon, slow, like a mother rocking a child to sleep. Chioma's heart slammed against her ribs. She pressed herself against the wall, her breath shallow. Poison. She had seen it once before, her uncle, twitching, foaming at the mouth, dead in 2 days. The healer had said, rat killer. Slow. Painful. Looks like fever. Adanna stood, wiped her hands on her wrapper, and glided back to the bedroom. Chioma waited until the house was silent. Then she crept to the pot. She dipped a finger into the tea. Tasteless. She sniffed. Nothing. But she knew. The next morning, Chief Ease drank his tea with a smile. Adanna, my jewel, he said, kissing her hand. This is why I married you. You take care of me. Adanna's eyes flickered. Always, my lord. Chioma served the yam and oil, her hands trembling. The chief ate heartily. He laughed. He pinched Adanna's cheek. He did not see the maid's eyes, wide with terror. That night, Chioma could not sleep. She lay on her mat in the servants' quarters, staring at the thatched roof. If I tell him, he won't believe me. He loves her. If I do nothing, he will die. She thought of her mother, who had died protecting her from a drunken father. She thought of the chief, who had never beaten her, who had given her a corner to sleep in and food to eat. He was not kind, but he was not cruel. And Adanna. Adanna was beautiful. Adanna was dangerous. Chioma made a decision. She would watch. She would wait. She would find proof. But proof is a slippery thing in a house full of lies. The chief grew thinner. His eyes sank into his skull. He coughed at night, deep, wet coughs that shook the bed. The village healer came, shook his head, muttered about bad spirits. Adanna wept prettily, dabbing her eyes with a silk handkerchief. "My husband is cursed," she said. "Someone hates us." Chioma said nothing. But she watched. She watched Adanna leave the house every Tuesday afternoon, when the chief napped. She watched her walk past the yam barn, past the goat pen, into the mango grove behind the compound. Chioma followed once, barefoot, silent as a shadow. In the grove, under the thick green leaves, stood a man. He was tall, young, with muscles like a wrestler and a smile sharp as a cutlass. His name was Obina. He was the son of the palm wine tapper, 28, unmarried, and known for breaking hearts like coconuts. Adanna ran into his arms. They kissed like starving people. His hands slid under her wrapper. She moaned his name. "Obina, hurry, before he wakes." Chioma hid behind a tree, her face burning. She had never been touched like that. Never been wanted like that. She felt something twist in her chest, anger, yes, but something darker. Jealousy? Desire? She didn't know. Obina pressed Adanna against the trunk. "When?" he whispered. "When will he die?" "Soon," Adanna breathed. "The powder works slowly. They'll think it's fever. Then the house is ours. The money. The land. Everything." Obina laughed low. "And me? Will I have you?" "Every night," she said, and bit his lip. Chioma fled. That night, she dreamed of Obina's hands. She woke wet and ashamed. The next day, the chief could not stand. His legs shook. His skin was hot. Adanna fed him broth, cooing, "Drink, my love. You'll be strong again." Chioma saw the powder in the broth, glinting like salt. She wanted to scream. She wanted to run. But where would she go? Who would believe a maid over a chief's wife? Then came the night of the festival. The village drums thundered. The moon was full and fat. Chief Ease, too weak to dance, sat on his veranda, wrapped in a blanket. Adanna danced in the courtyard, her hips swaying, her beads flashing. The men cheered. The women whispered. Chioma served palm wine. She passed Obina in the crowd. He grabbed her wrist. "You," he said, eyes narrow. "You've been watching." Chioma froze. He pulled her behind the banana trees. "What do you know, little maid?" "Nothing," she lied. He slapped her. Hard. Her lips split. Blood filled her mouth. "Don't lie to me," he hissed. "I see you. Always watching. Like a rat." Chioma spat blood. "I see you too. With her. In the grove." His eyes widened. Then he smiled, slow and cruel. "You want something, don't you? Money? A man?" He stepped closer. "I could give you both." Chioma's heart raced. She thought of Adanna's moans. She thought of the chief dying. She thought of her own body, untouched, aching. "No," she said, and kneed him in the groin. He doubled over. She ran. But now they knew she knew. The next morning, the chief could not speak. His tongue was swollen. His eyes rolled back. The healer came again, burned herbs, chanted. Adanna knelt by the bed, sobbing. "He's dying. My love is dying." Chioma stood in the doorway, her cheek bruised, her lip crusted with blood. No one asked how it happened. That afternoon, Adanna called her to the kitchen. "Chioma," she said softly, "you look tired. Here, eat." She pushed a plate of yam and stew toward her. Chioma stared at the yam. It was sliced thin, drowned in red oil. But something glinted in the stew. A powder. The same white dust. Adanna smiled. Eat. Your family. Chioma's hands shook. She knows. She wants me dead too. She took the plate. Thank you, madam. Adanna watched her, eyes unblinking. Chioma carried the plate to the backyard. She fed it to the dogs. They ate greedily. Within minutes, one began to twitch. Foam bubbled from its mouth. It died in the dust. Chioma vomited behind the latrine. That night, she stole the chief's teapot. She poured the liquid into a small calabash and hid it under her mat. Proof. But proof for who? The chief's brother, Nduka, arrived from the city. He was tall, stern, with a beard like a chief himself. He took one look at Ease and roared, "Who has done this?" Adanna fell at his feet. I don't know. He was fine. The healer says spirits. Nduka's eyes were cold. Spirits don't make a man waste away in a month. Chioma watched from the corner. Nduka's gaze landed on her. You. Girl. You serve him. What have you seen? Chioma opened her mouth. Adanna's eyes burned into her back. Nothing, sir, she whispered. Nduka frowned. Come to me if you remember anything. Adanna smiled. Later, in the dark, Obina found her again. This time in the barn. He pinned her against the wall, his hand over her mouth. You're going to die, he whispered. Slow. Like him. Unless what? She gasped. Unless you help us. Say the chief was sick before. Say the healer is a fraud. Say you saw nothing. Then we let you live. Chioma bit his hand. He cursed. She ran. But now the walls were closing in. The chief stopped breathing at dawn. Adanna screamed. The village wailed. The burial was set for the next full moon, 3 days away. Chioma was locked in the servants' quarters. For your safety, Adanna said. But the door was bolted from outside. She had the calabash. The poisoned tea. But no way out. On the second night, the red moon rose, blood in the sky. The village was drunk on palm wine and grief. Chioma heard footsteps. The bolt slid back. Nduka stood in the doorway, a lantern in hand. Speak, he said. Now. Chioma fell to her knees. She told him everything. The powder. The grove. Obina. The yam. The dog. Nduka's face was stone. Show me. She gave him the calabash. He sniffed. Tasted. Spat. Rat killer. Enough to kill 10 men. He looked at her bruised face. And this? Obina, she said. He knows I know. Nduka's eyes darkened. Tonight, we end this. But Adanna was clever. She had already fled to the grove with Obina, carrying a bag of gold and the chief's wolf forged, naming her sole heir. Nduka and Chioma ran to the grove. The moon was red. The air was thick. They found them by the stream. Adanna was bathing, naked, her skin glowing. Obina stood guard. Nduka raised his machete. Adanna of Amura, you are under arrest for murder. Adanna turned, water dripping from her breasts. She smiled. Nduka. Brother. You'd kill your brother's wife? You killed him. Did I? She stepped from the water, unbothered. Prove it. Obina lunged. Nduka fought. Blades clashed. Chioma screamed. Adanna grabbed a knife from the bag. She ran, not away, but toward Chioma. You little rat, she hissed. You think you'll take my place? Chioma dodged. The knife sliced her arm. Blood poured. Nduka roared, tackled Obina. The men rolled into the stream. Adanna raised the knife again. But Chioma was faster. She grabbed a rock and smashed it into Adanna's temple. Adanna fell. Unconscious. Bleeding. The stream ran red. Adanna and Obina were bound, gagged, dragged back to the compound. The village elders were summoned. The calabash was tested. The dog's body exhumed. The truth spilled like palm wine. But the chief was dead. The will was fake. The gold was gone. Nduka stood before the elders. My brother was poisoned. These two did it. The maid saved us all. Chioma stood silent, her arm bandaged, her eyes hollow. They praised her. Gave her a wrapper of fine cloth. Called her a hero. But at night, she dreamed of Adanna's body in the stream. Of Obina's hands. Of the chief's last breath. Adanna woke in the dungeon beneath the palace. Her head ached. Her beauty was scratched, bruised. But her eyes were alive. She smiled at the guard. Bring me water, she whispered. And I'll tell you where the gold is. The guard hesitated. Then obeyed. Obina, in the next cell, sharpened a bone from his meal against the wall. Nduka buried his brother under the irako tree. He wept. Then he turned to Chioma. You will stay, he said. As family. The house is yours as much as mine. Chioma nodded. But she did not sleep in the golden house. She slept in the kitchen, by the fire, with a knife under her mat. Because the grave was dug. But the story was not buried. On the night of the burial, as the mourners danced and the drums thundered, a shadow moved in the mango grove. Adanna's wrapper, torn, bloody, lay in the dirt. But Adanna was gone. And in the chief's bedroom, the teapot steamed. Someone had made fresh tea. If your heart is racing and you need to know who's brewing death next, smash that like button like it's the poison calabash. Subscribe right now and turn on notifications. Drop your thoughts in the comments if you can't sleep until the next twist. Share this with your squad, tag the friend who'd survive the mango grove. And tell me, do you trust Nduka? Or is Chioma next on the menu? Drop your theory below. The grave is open. The story isn't buried. See you in the shadows.